With us now is Ben Jealous. He's the former president and CEO of the NAACP, and he joins us from Baltimore. Ben, thanks for being with us.
Sure. Glad to be here.
It's impossible not to begin our conversation with the video that is out today and making news. And I want to talk to you about the debate. I want to talk to you about the presidential race, but I want to ask you first your reaction to the video and how you think that this will impact the days ahead.
You see a very courageous woman trying to save her husband's life, even as she's trying to video it, fearing that the worst may happen. It's in the tradition of Mamie Till and so many other women who have courageously shown the world what they did to my son, what they did to my husband, what they did to my brother. And it's, I think it's helpful. I mean, look, we have to be clear that we're living through a moment of disruption, a moment when video, dash cam video, uniform video, and cell phones is showing the world what the black community has known for centuries, which is that men with badges, women with badges can get away with killing us and have. Small numbers of police officers, relatively small percentage of the overall force, has gotten away with killing huge numbers of black men for a very long time. Unarmed, innocent black men. And sometimes they're armed and they're innocent. I mean, this is a country in which we believe in the right to bear arms. Just simply having a gun doesn't mean that the police get to kill you. And ultimately, I think there's reason to hope that we will come to a better place as a nation, but it will be a very painful road getting there. I think for us in the black community, there is, I think there's reason to hope that perhaps this road we've been on for centuries, this piece of this road may be coming to an end sooner than it would have without this technology, but that will still be an unacceptably long time from now if history is a guide.
There are two other stops on that road. One is the first presidential debate Monday. The next is the election November 8th. Of course, candidates will all be reluctant to do anything that looks like directly politicizing this tragedy, but it will nonetheless certainly be an issue. If you're asking a question on Monday's debate to both candidates, to both nominees, what's your question? And what do you think beyond the debate, you want to hear them each talking about?
Look, I think I would ask them for their most courageous plan, for their boldest plan. Donald Trump has been selling a fear across this country, passing off fear as courage, and it's dangerous. It's one of the reasons I think why so many people can't stomach voting for him, simply because even if they're somewhat sympathetic or they don't like the other candidate, simply because they fear what his finger on the nuclear weapon might do. But the reality is that he will have have cops with their foot on the neck of black and brown men across this country. He is sitting there, shilling Rudy Giuliani's old snake oil of racial profiling, which has been proven again and again not just to be a failure, but to inflame tensions and to undermine basic policing. One of the interesting things about New York City is that not only was racial profiling wildly ineffective, 90% of the people stopped had no infractions, 99.9% did not have a weapon, even though it was sold as a way to get weapons off. But during that period, what you saw was that the homicide case solve rate, the rape case solve rate went down. In other words, turns out that racial profiling isn't just if you will, a weapon of mass destruction as far as the lives of the people who are impacted when they're humiliated by the cops in their way. It's a weapon of mass distraction for the officers themselves, and actually keeps them from doing their job in important tasks like getting killers off the street, getting rapists off the street, because they're sitting there, frisking innocent people.
Ben, it's Donnie Deutsch. It's proven that stop and frisk has not worked. My stomach turned when I watched that. I'm a progressive guy. Let me play the role of possibly a Trump supporter who watches that, and I'm generalizing here, who says, well, here's a guy that has a rap sheet. I'm talking about the victim, Mr. Scott. Here's a guy that had been in jail for shooting someone. Here's a guy that possibly was reaching for his weapon. This cop, who is African-American, is trying to do his job. This is not about race. This is about a heat-of-a-moment situation. Obviously, the Tulsa situation was completely different. I'm lensing it through those eyes. If I'm a red state guy, for instance, respond to that.
Jesse Jackson years ago said it's a sad day when you look over your shoulder when you're walking in the dark streets of Washington, D.C., when he was shadow senator, and you hear somebody walking up behind you, and you look over your shoulder, and you're glad it's not a black guy. And the reality is that what he was referring to is that in this country, even we as black people, it's like if you live amongst smog, you get soot in your lungs. If you live amongst racism, your mind gets warped. And we start to equate color with danger when it has nothing to do with it. We have to focus on is behavior. And so
I'm actually taking color. My point is, Ben, I'm trying to take color out of it from a guy that's not lensing it from as an African-American father or a very progressive guy.
But what I'm saying is that, no, I get it, but what I'm saying is that black officers can have their sense of danger racially coded in just the same way that a white officer can. That ultimately, what you think of people doesn't have to do with your own skin color as much as it has to do with your own mind.
But couldn't I look at that video, Ben, couldn't I look at that video and go, race maybe had nothing to do with it right there? They didn't pull that guy over. This was a situation. I'm not. By the way, we continually watch black men get shot, so I'm not an idiot. I'm just giving the counter argument.
No, brother. I don't think that you're an idiot. I'm sorry if it's coming across that way. What I'm saying, man, is that, is that just because it's a black officer and a black victim doesn't mean that race has nothing to do with it.
No, I'm saying, let's say it was a white officer even. If it was a white officer, sometimes, unfortunately, in the heat of the moment, it has nothing to do with race. It has to do with either a heat of the moment.
What I would say is roll the tape on the similar cases where a white man has been killed. Find me those cases. Because we don't see them. And and that's just it, right? Every time that we hear that a child, like a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old has been handcuffed for no apparent reason in a school, why is it always a black kid? And every time that we hear that an unarmed American man has been shot by the police, or one who wasn't doing anything that you should be shot for, Johnny Crawford buying a Red Ryder a BB gun, a Red Ryder BB gun.
Ben, you appreciate
for
converted
his child.
here.